All right, in this second part of the video, cams and work planes, I'm going to help you make maybe the more complicated cams here. You might think about these. These might produce a little bit more interesting motion on top of your automata box than these. But they are going to take a little bit more thinking of how we're going to render them in Inventor. So the first one I'm going to work on is I'm going to work on the pear cam. And remember, every time I see a D here, I'm making my D 2. My nominal diameter is 2 inches, and we're going to extrude to 3/16 of an inch. We're also going to put those work planes on it so that if I want to put this into an assembly, and I need to line it up with the followers and the axles, it's going to make things a little bit easier. So we're all going to do that in one step here with the video. So I'm going to open up Inventor. And again, I'm looking at that plan in front of me, and I'm going to open up or start a new part. Standard IPT will be fine. And I'm going to show you how to use some constraints to make these pieces relatively easily. Constraints will make your life much easier when we get to more sophisticated computer models, but the constraints tabs is over here, and there's different types of constraints. There's a dimensional constraint, there's a geometric constraint. So I'm going to show you just the beginnings of geometric constraints today. I'm going to go ahead and start that cam, and I'm going to look at my plans. I have here, my plan says the radius is half the diameter, but right here I have it set to diameter. That dashed line goes all the way across. So right now I'm setting a diameter, not a radius. So I'm going to right click and come down here and say, I want to dimension the radius. So there it's showing me the symbol of a radius. So now I'm looking at my plans, and it needs to be half diameter is what my radius is. So I'm going to set that at half of 2, which is 1. Put that in there. Right. So we're there. I'm going to show you how to use one of these geometric constraints. So I'm going to put the top of my cam, which is another little piece of a circle here, which is a 1/4 diameter. So again, remember, if the diameter or the radius is a 1/4 of the diameter, so we're going to set that at a 1/4 of 2, or 0.5. The radius of this little circle should be 0.5. So let's go back, and I'll kind of sketch that guy in here. I'm deliberately put it off center and say that the radius should be 0.5. And I'm going to show you how to use one of these constraints first of all. So you'll notice right now that I can move this circle anywhere around. I won't change the shape. I can't drag it to be larger or smaller anymore because I have constrained it to be forced to be a 1/2 inch in radius. But I still can move it around. I can bring it anywhere I want. And what I want is I want to put it right above this one. So what I'm going to do is use a vertical constraint. I'll show you how simple that is. It's this tab right here, and I want to say I want you to be constrained with the center of this circle. So pop it right up there. Now what I can still do is I can still move the circle up and down, but I can't move it side to side. So the constraint forced these two to always be directly vertical, the centers of the lines. The next thing I want to do is I want to figure out how far apart should the center of these circles be. If I go to my plans, here to here, the center to center should be 1/2 a diameter. Again, the diameter is 2, so 1/2 should be 1. So I'm going to go and set that. I'm going to use a dimensioning constraint. Here to here, drag that out, set it equal to 1. That's good. Now I want to put in the sides, right? This is not exactly what it is. I'm going to just roughly sketch in a couple lines, put them about where I think they're going to go. And now I'm going to use the tangent constraint. So tangent means touches at 1 point. I want this to touch this circle at 1 point. So I'll use that circle line. I want it to make sure it already looks like it's touching. Make that one tangent. We'll do the same here. And the same here. So you can sort of see the outline of what this is looking like. So the next thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to trim away some of the excess. So this is the first time I've shown you how to use the trim tool. So I'm going to hit the trim tool and trim away some of this excess. And finish sketch. Not bad, right? Pretty simple. And now I'm going to extrude it. And again, I'm going to use my biplane extrusion. So instead of going in one direction, I'm going to go from the center. 3/16 is what I want, but I'm going to make it go from the center here. And again, that makes putting that work plane on it a little bit quicker at the end. So we'll hit OK. And then the last thing I need to do is put that hole in the center for the axle, and that's going to go right there. And now again, I have the radius now set, and the hole is dimensioned by the diameter. So I'm going to right click and say I want to dimension the diameter, and I'm going to make that 3/16. Hit finish. We're going to cut that hole out. I'll just use the cut command. And OK. And that is it to make the cam. Now let's go ahead and put the work planes in, right? So again, because we use that biplane extrusion, it's going to be real simple. I'm going to go to the origins file. That's one of the ones I want on there. So I'm going to hit visibility, make that plane visible. That's the other one that I want. I'm going to say make that visible. So again, that's going to help us with the assembly down the line. Next one I'm going to make is I'm going to make the eccentric cam, the snail cam, again using a constraint. So I'm making a new part here for my snail cam, and I'm going to go ahead and sketch on the XY, and I'm going to lay out some circles first. So the largest circle says it should be half D. So the full D is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 2. And now I'm going to put in a smaller circle in the middle. And this one says that the smaller circle, which I'm going to try to connect the two, should have a radius of 1/4 D. So I'm going to change that again to radius. And 1/4 D is 0.5. So that's the beginnings of my sketch. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, I'm going to connect with a vertical line, the outer circle to the inner circle. So that's connected. And I'm going to use the trim and a constraint feature here. This is going to be new to a lot of students. So I'm going to use the arc, and we're going to use a 3-point arc. So I want my arc to start here. I want it to end here. I'm going to pull it out about halfway through here. That's probably fine. And hit escape. Now I'm going to make sure that these are kind of smoothly connected. So I'm going to use the tangent constraint. So I'll say I want this arc to be tangent with that circle, and I want this arc to be tangent with that circle. Hit finish, look at it. I shouldn't have hit finish quite yet, so I'm going to go back and say edit sketch. We're going to use the trim command to get rid of everything we don't want. So here's trim. I don't need that part. I don't need that. Uh-oh. It's killing me. So I think what I need to do is remove this constraint, saying I have a circle. Let's try trim. There it is. Hit finish sketch. So that's the outline of the cam that I want. I'm going to extrude that again to 3/4 inch, and I'm going to make it a biplane. So from the middle, 3/16 I think I said 3/4 a second. And we're going to put the hole in it. The hole will go right there in the center. Hole should be a diameter of 3/16. We'll cut that hole. And again, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place those work planes on it. So XY is what I want. Simply right click and hit visibility. XY is what I want. Hit right click, visibility, and we're going to save it. And then you're ready to go. I'm going to call mine Snail 2. Okay, guys, hopefully that helped. You're going to be able to make at least one cam and put it in there. We'll start putting the assembly together when I get back.